Hello everyone, I am Radhika and in this video I'll be covering the post-order traversal of binary tree. So first we need to understand what does post-order traversal mean. Just like in pre-order and in order, in this traversal we first travel the left side of any node, then to its right child and then to the node. So first if we are given a root node, then we can first store the left child of that node, then the right child of that node, and then the root node itself. So this is how we do the traversal of any binary tree. Okay, and when we are approaching it through a recursion approach, that is we are using recursion to do the post order traversal of the tree, then we require an auxiliary stack space. This stack space is not created by us, but it is maintained in the system to maintain the function calls. Okay, so we can understand it by looking at the various examples which we're gonna solve. Okay, so first we'll solve this question or this example to understand how we do the post order traversal of this tree, of any tree you can say. So for the post order we go to the left child, then the right child, and then the root node itself. Okay, so I have created a vector answer to store the overall post order of any tree, and also maintain all the function calls which we will be making, doing, and the auxiliary stack space to understand how system stores our function calls and the and what element we are traversing. Fine. So let's get to the first example. We are given the root of the node. So first we make a function call for the root element. So for the I make a post, this is my function name suppose, and I make a function call for 1 node 1. Now I'll store that 1 in my auxiliary stack space also. So I stored 1 in my auxiliary stack space. Now I need to go to the left child of 1. Now I find that since there is no element on the left child, I return. So in recursion you need to understand, while you are traversing a tree, if you find that there's no element present, then you need to return back. Fine. So since there's no element present on the left side of the one, so we return back. So when we are returning, we need to go to the right side. So I make a function call for the right side of 1. So the right side we have 2. So we make a function call for post order of 2. And in my auxiliary stack space, I maintain 2. So at the top of my stack space, I have 2. Now for 2, I'll again go to its left. So I go to the left. So I make a function call for post order of 3. Fine. And in my auxiliary stack space, I maintain 3. Now for going to the left of 3, we can say that we find that there's no element present, we return back. Now we'll make a function call for the right side also, but on the right side there's no element present again, so we return back to this 3. Now since we have returned to this element, we'll print it out. That is, whatever is the current node, we'll store it or we can print it. So I suppose I store it in my vector. Fine. Now I have traversed this entire 3 node. So I removed it from my stack space. That is, my function call has been completed and I remove it from my stack space. Now I go to 2 again. Now it says that in post order we need to go to the right child and then to the root node. So I go to the right of 2, but I find that there's no element present. So I return back. So I can say that I have visited the left side also and the right side. Now I'm again at the current node, which is 2. So I'll need to store it out. So I store 2 in my vector answer. Okay, now since my function call for 2 has been completed, I'll remove 2 from my auxiliary stack space and my function call for 2 has been completed. Now I move or return to 1. Now I say that I have traversed the left side also and the right side also, and my current node is 1. So since my current node is 1, I'll store it in my answer vector and I'll remove 1 from my auxiliary stack space, and the function call for 1 has also been completed. So this is how we traverse the entire binary tree, and whatever we have got in this answer vector, this is our actual post order traversal ordering. Okay, so we can do this similarly for the second example. Fine. Now we are currently at 1. So I make a post order call for 1. Now again in my oh, auxiliary stack space, I'll store 1. Fine. Now I'll move to the left of 1. So at the left I find 2. So I make a post order call for 2. So I made a post order call for 2, and my auxiliary stack space I store 2. Fine. Now in my auxiliary stack space I have stored 2. Now I'll again make a function call for to the left of 2, that is 4. So I'll make a function call for post order of 4. And in my auxiliary stack space I'll be storing 4. Now you can see that when we go to the left of 4, we find no one. So we return back. Now we'll go to the right side of 4, we find that there's no one. So we come back to this node again. We visit this node again. So we are at 4. So we store 4 in our answer vector, and we can say that the function call for 4 has been completed. So we remove 4 from our stack space, and also the function call has been completed. So we remove it from here, from our system. Now we go to 2. Now when we have traversed the left side of 2, we go to the right side. So when we are going to the right side, we make a post order call for 5. Fine. And my stack space, I have stored 5. Now in my auxiliary stack space, I have 5 at the top. Now I go to the left of 5. So I find that we have 6. So we make a post order call for 6. Now, and in my auxiliary stack space also, I will have 6. Fine. Now I go to the left of 6, but I don't find anyone. So I return back, and then I go to the right side of 6, but I find no one. So what is my current node or the visit node? So it's 6. So I store 6 in my answer vector. So I stored 6. And since I have completed the entire traversal for 6, I remove it from my stack space and from my function call also. Fine. Now I go back to 5. Now I say that for the left side I have traversed. Now I want to go to its right side. So I make a function call for post order of 7. And my auxiliary stack space I also store 7. Fine. Now I go to the left side of 7. I don't find anyone. I go to its right side. There's no one. So I again visit this node, that is 7, and I'll store it in my answer vector. So I stored 7 in my answer vector. And since my entire traversal for 7 or my function call has been completed, so I'll remove it from my stack space. Fine. And I also remove its function call that from my system. Now I go to 5. So I say that for 5 I have completed the left side and the right side. So now I am currently at node 5. So I need to store it in my answer vector. So I stored 5. And since I've stored it in my answer vector, I've completed the entire execution of node 5 for node 5. So I'll remove it from my function call and from my auxiliary stack space. Now I go to 2. So I say that my left side has also been traversed, my right side has also been traversed. So I am currently at node 2. I'm visiting node 2. So I need to store it in my answer vector. So I stored 2. Fine. And since I have completed the whole traversal for 2, I'll remove this function call for 2. Fine. Now I go to the root node, that is 1. So I say that I've completed my right side. Now I want to go to the right side. That I've completed the left side, but I want to go to the right side. So now I'll make a function call for post order of 3. So in my auxiliary stack space, I'll have 3, and my function call, I'll also be making a function call for 3. That is, when we make the function call, then in our auxiliary stack space, we store that element. Okay, no. So I'm at 3. Now I go to its left side, but there's no one present. So I return back. So I say that since my left side we have no one, we make a function call for the right side. So I make a function call for 8. And my auxiliary stack space also I store 8. Fine. Now I say that I want to go to the left of 8, that is 9. So I make a function call for 9, and in my auxiliary stack space I store 9. Now I want to go to the left of 9, but there's no one. So I come back. I make a function call for the right of 9. There's no one. So I'm currently at node 9. So store 9. So I stored 9. And from my auxiliary stack space, I'll remove 9. So I remove the function calls for 9. Now I come back to 8. I say that my left side has been traversed. Now go to the right side. But at the right side, we don't find anyone. So I return back to my current node, that is 8. So I say since I am at 8, I'll store 8. And also from my auxiliary stack space, I'll remove 8 and my function call for 8 has been completed. Now I move to 3. I say that my left side has also been traversed, my right side has also been traversed. So I'm currently at my current node. Okay, so I'll store 3 in my answer vector. So I stored 3 and I'll remove 3 from my function call. That is, the function call for 3 has been completed. Fine. Now I'm at 1 again. So since I am at 1, I say that my left side has also been traversed, my right side has also been traversed. So I can say that now store 1 in my answer vector, and you can say that removes 1 from my auxiliary stack space and from my function call. So you can see that my auxiliary stack space has become empty. So as soon as my auxiliary stack space become empty, you can say that you have traversed the entire binary tree. So this is how we do the post order traversal of any binary tree. Now, what is the time complexity we required? So first thing we need to we evaluate the space complexity. So we are maintaining a answer vector which is storing all the elements of the tree. So if I have n elements, so I store I can say that the answer vector size is O of n. And if I talk about the time complexity, so we can say that in my auxiliary stack space, you can say that the maximum height which we have, or the maximum elements which we have stored in this auxiliary stack space is, you can say it's 4. Okay, it's 4. The maximum elements which we have stored is 4. And if you calculate the height of this tree, so you will find that the total height of this tree is 4 itself. So you can say that the time complexity to so you can say that the time complexity for this tree is O of h, and the space complexity is O of n. So this is how we compute the time complexity and the space complexity. And you can say that if it is a skewed tree, for example, that we have all the nodes on the left side, entire left side, or it is extremely on the right side, then we can say that the total height of the tree, if suppose it has n elements in the skewed tree, then we need to travel all the n elements to get to the last element. So we can say that the time complexity will go from O of log n, which is actually the height of the tree, and to O of n in the worst case. That is if we have a skewed tree, but if we have a balanced binary tree, then it can go up to O of log n. So this is how we do the binary, the post order traversal of any binary tree. Now we'll do the coding part. Now in this part, we'll be covering the coding section of the post order traversal of the binary tree. So in the function, we are given that we need to return a vector. So we'll store our ordering in a vector. So we define a vector. Suppose it's answer. And we make a function call. That is, we are calling another function, for example, post order. And we pass the root node and the answer. After completing the entire traversal, we return this answer vector. We return it. Now for this function call, we define a function void post order and our answer vector. Now we need to understand that when we are traversing a tree, we have a base case condition. In recursion also, so we are using the recursion approach. The base case condition over here is that if we find that there is no node present, we return back. So we say that if our current root node is equals to null, just return back. Okay. But if we have some element in our root node, then we need to go to its left side and then to its right side. So I'll say that first go to its left side. So I'll again make a function call for the left side of that root node. So I'll pass the left child of that root node, and then I'll pass my answer vector. Similarly, when I have completed the traversal for the left side, go to the right side. So I'll make a function call for the right side as a root right side. Right element we'll be passing and the answer vector. And when we have completed the left side and the right side, just store the current node which you are visiting. So I store this root node. So answer dot pushback root value. Fine. And when this whole function call has been completed, we can say that we can return our answer vector. Yeah. So we have completed. So this we have passed the test case. Now just submit it. Yes. So we have got that we have completed. We have passed all the test cases. So this is how we'll be approaching the post order. Okay. Now talking about the time complexity and the space complexity. Fine. So you can see that we are traversing all the elements of the binary tree, where we are traversing all the nodes of the binary tree. So since we are traversing them, or we are approaching all the nodes only once, so we can say that if there are n elements in the tree, the overall time complexity will go up to O of n. And if you talk about the space complexity, so in our stack, you can say that the maximum amount of elements or the size of the stack which we had was equivalent to the number of nodes which are present in the longest path, or the height in the height of the tree, longest path of the tree. So in this question, as a we have maintained up to maximum 4 elements in our stack. That is one, the that much. And if you talk about the height of the tree, you can say that there are 4 nodes present in the maximum path. Okay, so you can say that the in the space complexity, the space which we will be requiring is O of h, where h is the height of the tree, or you can say O of log n. Fine. But you can say that here our tree is balanced. So it is approaching O of h or log n. But if our tree becomes a skewed tree, that is left skewed or right skewed, in that case, if we have suppose n elements in that skewed tree, then the total height of the tree will become n. So the space complexity which we'll be requiring in a skewed tree. In a skewed tree, we'll be requiring a height of O of n. But in a balanced tree, we'll require a height of this much. Fine. So this is how we'll approach this problem. That's all for this video.